Shadows of the Abyss. Once upon a time, there was a village called Tursan, nestled deep in the forest. This village had been abandoned after a catastrophic event, leaving only old stones, withered wooden structures, and shadows as a haunting memory. The most terrifying structure in the village was a grand mansion located at its entrance. It had been built by Mr. Victor, the wealthiest man in the village. However, Mr. Victor's tragic death and the dark events that occurred within the mansion turned it into a place shrouded in fear and mystery. One day, a group of college friends, driven by their thirst for adventure, decided to explore the mansion. The group consisted of Alif, Ahmet, Dirya, Hassan, and Salim. They had heard eerie legends about the mansion circulating on social media and, feeling bold, they resolved to spend a night there. As they arrived at the mansion just before nightfall, they took a moment to survey the village. Most of the houses were crumbling and in ruins, with only a few roofs still standing. But the mansion itself stood tall and imposing, like a time capsule, its decaying door and cracked windows adding to its ominous aura. When the group pushed open the creaking door, a chilling silence enveloped them. The air inside was cold and damp, filled with the scent of neglect. Dust-covered furniture, cobweb-covered chandeliers, and faded photographs hanging on the walls spoke of a bygone era. Among these was a large portrait of Mr. Victor, his eyes seemingly following their every move. "This place is really creepy," Elif said nervously, but the others, eager for their adventure, urged her to explore further. Ahmet suggested, "Let's check out the darkest corners." Everyone was enthusiastic about the exploration. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, the atmosphere grew increasingly unsettling. They discovered an old library filled with yellowed books and a dusty typewriter. In another room, they found an old painting covered with strange symbols, adding to the sense of foreboding that hung over them. As night fell, a coldness began to pervade the mansion. Elif soon noticed something odd at the end of a dark corridor. When she mentioned it to the others, Hassan and Salim seemed dismissive, suggesting she investigate further on her own. Reluctantly, Elif approached the end of the corridor and came upon a door that seemed to beckon her. Opening the door, Elif found herself in a room with a large, dusty mirror. In the mirror's reflection, shadows seemed to dance. In front of the mirror stood a tall, gaunt figure, seemingly trapped within the mirror's surface. The figure's long hair and hollow eyes were barely visible. The face was obscured by shifting shadows, giving the impression of a tormented soul. Elif's breath caught in her throat. The figure's eyes seemed to follow her with an unsettling intensity. Suddenly, a whisper echoed through the room, coming from the walls and the mirror itself, "You must leave. It's too late." Terrified, Elif rushed to find the others. But as she navigated the mansion's labyrinthine corridors, the darkness seemed to twist and shift, turning the mansion into a maze. Every turn led them back to familiar rooms, their sense of direction becoming increasingly distorted. As the group reunited, they noticed a chilling presence growing stronger. Their flashlight beams flickered and shadows danced menacingly around them. The whispers grew louder, more frantic, "Don't stay. Escape." Panic set in as they realized the mansion was trapping them. The oppressive darkness seemed to close in around them. The whispers turned into agonized cries, and the mansion itself felt alive, pulsating with a malevolent force. Desperate, the group tried to force their way out, but each door they opened led them to the same rooms. The mansion seemed to feed on their fear, distorting reality and bending time. Elif, in a moment of clarity, remembered the portrait of Mr. Victor. They returned to the room with the portrait and noticed something odd. The eyes in the painting seemed to be guiding them. Following the direction of the eyes, they found a hidden passage behind the painting. As they stumbled through the narrow tunnel, the whispers grew distant, but their relief was short-lived. They emerged into a large, underground chamber, its walls covered with strange symbols and writings. In the center of the chamber stood a large, ancient book. Dirya, driven by a mix of curiosity and desperation, opened the book. The room was suddenly filled with a blinding light, and the shadows seemed to writhe and scream. The book's pages were filled with cryptic text and dark rituals. The shadows, now clearly visible, converged on the book, trying to snatch it away. In a frantic effort, Hassan grabbed the book and threw it into a nearby fire pit that they hadn't noticed before. The fire roared to life, consuming the book and sending the shadows into a frenzy. The room shook violently, and the oppressive presence seemed to dissipate. The mansion's malevolent grip began to loosen. With a final burst of strength, the group made their way back through the tunnel and emerged into the night air. Exhausted and shaken, they looked back at the mansion, which now seemed quieter and less ominous. They fled the village, never to return. To this day, the mansion stands in the depths of the forest, its dark secrets hidden away. The villagers who occasionally pass by speak of the mansion with a shiver, and the tales of the shadows that lurk within serve as a reminder of the horrors that lie in the heart of darkness.